Hey everybody, how's it going? I am here on this gloomy Wednesday morning, and there's something that I just really like about overcast, cloudy days and days with rain, and it's just a nice change. And it makes me want to just stay inside, cuddle up with a good book, and that's what we're going to do today. So, ready to continue with Fablehaven? Okay, we are on chapter 9, Pathways. Oh, you know what I forgot? Guess what is another thing that I miss besides your cute faces? I miss people asking me what socks I'm wearing. And I have no one to show them to because Josh doesn't really care what socks I'm wearing. But I remember when we would read, you would always ask me, Miss Roscoe, what socks are you wearing? So I'm going to show you my socks today. Are you ready? I don't think you're going to be able to handle the cuteness. Okay. Ready? So it's upside down, but I have a little chickie in an egg with some flowers. It's fun. Those are my socks for today. All right, guys. Ready? Chapter 9, Pathways. A squeal escaped Kendra when she awoke that night, the roar of the thunderclap fading. She felt flustered and disoriented. The noise had jolted her out of sleep as abruptly as a punch in the face. Although this was her second night at Las Mesa, the dark room initially appeared unfamiliar. It took a moment to make sense of the rustic furniture fashioned from knotty wooden posts. Had the house been struck by lightning? Even though she had been asleep, Kendra felt certain she had never heard thunder that loud. It had been like dynamite exploding inside her pillow. She sat up and swung her legs over the edge of the bed. A brilliant strobe flickered, bright enough to throw shadows, accompanied almost instantaneously by another deafening detonation of thunder. Covering her ears, Kendra walked to the window, staring out into the dim courtyard. With clouds blotting out all starlight and no lights on in the hacienda, the courtyard should have looked totally black. She could make out cactus shapes in the dimness. The courtyard had a fountain in the center, tiled paths, gravel paths, and a variety of desert flora. She expected to see one of the taller cacti in flames from a lightning strike, but that did not appear to be the case. No rain was falling. The courtyard was still. Kendra felt tense, awaiting the next flash of light and crash of sound. Instead of more lightning and thunder, rain began to fall. For a few seconds, it pattered lightly, then it really began to pour. Kendra opened her window, enjoying the aroma the rain released from the desert soil. A fairy with wings like a June bug alighted on the windowsill. Glowing a soft green, she had an exquisite face and was pudgier than any fairy Kendra had seen. Got caught in the rain? Kendra asked. I don't mind the water, the fairy chirped. Freshens things up. This little cloudburst will pass in a few minutes. Did you see the lightning? Kendra asked. Hard to miss. You shine almost as brightly. I've been told that before. Do you want to come into my room? The fairy giggled. The windowsill is as close as I can come. You're up late. The thunder woke me. Do fairies often stay up all night? Not all of us. Not me usually, but I hate to miss a rainstorm. We get so few. I adore the monsoons. The rain was already falling more gently. Kendra stretched out a hand to feel the fat drops on her palm. Lightning flared up in the clouds, farther away than before, muted by the intervening mist. Thunder followed a couple of heartbeats afterward. Kendra wondered what Warren was doing at the moment. He had departed for the vault with Dugan, Gavin, Tammy, and Neil about an hour before sunset. He might have returned already, for all she knew, or he could be in the belly of a dragon. My friends might be out in this weather, Kendra said. The fairy tittered. The ones trying to climb the mesa? You saw them? Yes. I'm worried about them. The fairy sniggered again. It isn't funny. They're on a dangerous mission. It is funny. I don't think they went anywhere. They couldn't find a way up. They didn't climb the mesa? Kendra asked. Getting up there can be problematic. But Neil knows a way. Knew a way. From the look of things, the rain is relenting. The fairy was right. It was barely sprinkling now. The earthy, humid air smelled wonderful. What do you know about Painted Mesa? Kendra asked. We don't go up there. Near the mesa? Sure. The whole formation has a lovely aura. but there is old magic woven into that place. Your friends are lucky they couldn't climb it. Good night." The fairy leaped from the windowsill and buzzed off into the night, veering up over the roof and out of sight. After the company, Kendra felt lonely. Lightning pulsed somewhere above her. Thunder growled a few seconds later. Kendra closed the window and slid back into bed. Part of her wanted to check if Warren was safe in his room, but she felt uncomfortable intruding if he was asleep. She was sure to hear in the morning about what had happened. Dragonflies. Kendra had never tried huevos rancheros, but found she liked them a lot. The thought of mixing eggs with fresh guacamole had never occurred to her, and she had been missing out. Warren, Dugan, and Gavin sat eating with her while Rosa puttered in the kitchen. "So you couldn't find a way up?" Kendra said, cutting into her food with the side of her fork. She had found them eating after she awoke and showered. None of them had mentioned the mission yet. "What tipped you off?" Warren asked. "No bite marks," Kendra said. "Very funny," Dugan said, checking over his shoulder as if worried somebody might be eavesdropping. "Seriously," Warren said. Kendra realized she shouldn't be telling Dugan and Gavin that she could talk to fairies. "One look at your faces told the whole story. You were acting too normal." "Neil said the mesa can be fickle," Warren explained. "There are many ways up, but none are constant. They open only to certain people at certain times." "Rent a helicopter," Kendra said, taking another bite. "Hey, Scooty." That's just Scooty. He's okay. "Neil says the mesa would never allow it," Dugan said. "I believe him," Gavin said. You can feel the magic of this place. It makes you drowsy. You should have seen Tammy's face when the path wasn't there. She said it was unmistakable last time." "Neil didn't like it either," Warren said. "I guess his way up has been pretty reliable." "Ascending the mesa has always been a challenge," Rosa said, wiping her hands on a dish towel as she approached the table. "I warned you it might not be easy, especially after the others went and disturbed things." Kendra thought of the revenant guarding the entrance to the vault at Fablehaven. Here was the mesa itself the guard? "The way to the top may be closed for some time," Neil said, coming into the room, holding his white cowboy hat in one hand. He was wearing jeans and hiking boots. "There have been periods lasting 50 years or more when no pathway was available." "We can't wait," Dugan said. "We need to get up there." "Forcing the mesa is impossible," Neil said. "Don't lose hope yet. I want to take Kendra and scout around the base." "Kendra?" Warren asked. "She saw the fence around Lost Mesa before we entered the preserve," Neil said. "If the Twilight Way is closed, eyes like hers might help spot one of the other paths." Kendra noticed Gavin and Dugan regarding her with interest. "I'd be happy to look if you think it might help," she said. "I'll come with you," Warren said. Neil nodded. "Mara will join us as well. When will you be ready to leave?" "Give us 20 minutes, Warren said, glancing at Kendra to make sure that was acceptable. "Sounds good," she said. Warren hurried through the rest of his food, and Kendra did likewise. When they were done, she followed him to her room. He closed the door. "How did you really hear we couldn't find a pathway up Painted Mesa?" Warren asked. "A fairy told me last night," Kendra said. "I'm sure the others didn't believe your comment was based solely on intuition, but I doubt they'll openly pry. Remember to be careful about hinting at your powers. Dugan knows you can recharge magical items. That's it. The others don't even know that much." "Sorry," Kendra said. "I'll be careful." "We have to be cautious. I think we can trust Dugan and Gavin, but I don't want to take anything for granted. I'm positive the Society has people in place to make sure the artifact ends up in their hands. Remember, at Fablehaven, the original plan was for Vanessa and Errol to steal the artifact themselves. The traitor here might be somebody who has lived on the preserve a while, or it could be Tammy, or Javier." "Hopefully it was Zach," Kendra said. Warren grinned. "Wouldn't that be nice? I've done some digging. Tammy is along because she has a talent for finding and disabling traps. Javier is a seasoned ingredient collector used to work for a couple of the top dealers. He has a lot of experience getting out of dodgy situations. Their reputations are solid, but so was Vanessa's." "Are you worried about Neil or Mara?" Kendra asked. "If the Sphinx is a suspect, anyone is a suspect," he said. "Trust no one. Try to stay inside the hacienda unless I'm with you." "Think I'll be able to find a trail?" Kendra asked. Warren shrugged. You can see through distractor spells. You've got a better shot of finding a secret path than I have. We should probably get going, she said. Neil and Mara were outside in a dirty Jeep with the engine running. Warren and Kendra climbed in back. They did not keep to roads for long. Out the front window, Painted Mesa loomed ever larger. During one stretch, Neil forced the Jeep up such a steep grade that Kendra worried it would rear up and tip over backward. The bumpy, jarring drive ended in a flat area strewn with jagged boulders. A few hundred yards of rugged terrain separated them from where a sheer stone face of the mesa rose into the sky. It's so high, Kendra said, using her hand as a visor as she stared up at the colorful plateau. There was hardly a cloud in the bright blue sky. Neil came up beside her. You'll be looking for handholds, a rope, a cave, a stairway, a path, anything that might grant access. To most eyes, most of the time, there appears to be no possible route to the top, even for an experienced climber. The pathways become available only at certain moments. For example, until lately, the Twilight Way appeared at sunset. We'll circle the mesa multiple times. Do you know of other paths besides the Twilight Way? Warren asked. We know of others, but not where to look, Neil said. The only other reliable route is the Festival Road. It opens on festival nights. The next opportunity would be the autumnal equinox. Scaling the mesa on a festival night would be madness, Mara said, her voice a resonant alto. Suicide. Sounds like my kind of party, Warren joked. Mara did not acknowledge that he had spoken. What if you get up there and can't find a way down? Kendra asked. There are normally many ways down, Neil said. The mesa is happy to see visitors leave. I've never had trouble, nor have I heard stories of others facing difficulties descending. Those people might not be around to tell the stories, Warren pointed out. Neil shrugged. Could the Twilight Way open up again? Kendra asked. Neil tossed up his hands. Hard to say. My guess would be not for many seasons, but we'll check this evening. Maybe your sharp eyes will catch sight of something I missed. Kendra noticed beige rabbit feet dangling from Neil's pierced earlobes. Are those lucky? Kendra asked, indicating the earrings. Jackalope, Neil said. If we're going to find a pathway, we'll need all the luck we can get. She refrained from telling Neil the obvious, that the feet had clearly not been very lucky for the jackalope. They hiked around the mesa. Little was said. Neil mostly studied the sheer rock faces from several paces away. Mara got up close, caressing the stones, sometimes leaning her cheek against the unyielding surface. Kendra scrutinized the mesa as best she could, from near and far, but noticed no evidence of a path. The sun beat down relentlessly. Neil loaned Kendra a wide-brimmed hat and some sunscreen. When they finally circled back to the Jeep, Neil retrieved a plastic cooler. They ate sandwiches and trail mix in the shade. During the afternoon, a warm breeze began to blow. Kendra saw the most interesting things when she faced away from the mesa and glimpsed an occasional fairy or jackalope in the distance. She wondered if the jackalopes resented Neil for his earrings. No creature, insects included, ventured right up to the mesa. The atmosphere was heavy. Gavin had been right. There was something in the air that lulled you, made you drowsy. They completed another meticulous lap around the mesa before hunkering down in the shade and eating the dried fruit and jerky Neil had brought for dinner. He told them a final loop around the mesa would put them in about the right spot to look for the Twilight Way when the sun went down. As they hiked, leaden thunderheads began to blow in from the south. When they paused for a water break, Mara surveyed the oncoming clouds. Going to be a real storm tonight, she predicted. By the time the sun neared the horizon, the wind was whistling through the rocks, a constant eerie moan that rose to shrill hoots and shrieks during gusts. Ominous clouds obscured much of the sky, shot through with magnificent colors where the sun was sinking. It should be here, Neil said, staring up at a blank cliff, a winding trail. Mara leaned against the base of the precipice, eyes closed, palms pressed against the stone. Kendra stared hard, trying to will her eyes to see through whatever spells might be concealing the path. Neil paced around the area, clearly frustrated. Warren stood with his arms folded, nothing moving but his eyes. Behind them, the sun finally disappeared below the horizon. A particularly strong gust blew Kendra's hat off and made her stagger. The wind cried out in disharmonious howls. We should get back to the Jeep, Neil said, eyes sweeping the mesa one last time. The Twilight Way is closed, Mara declared solemnly. As they hiked back to where they had parked the Jeep, rain began to patter on the rocks around them, leaving dime-sized splotches on the stone. Within minutes, the rocks had darkened with wetness, becoming slick and treacherous in places. Coming into sight of the Jeep, they scrambled over and around jumbled piles of damp stone. The rain fell hard now. Although her clothes were soaked, the warm air kept Kendra from shivering. She glanced back over her shoulder and saw a waterfall streaming down the side of the mesa. The sight made her pause. The water was not falling straight. It was coming at an angle, leaping and rolling, the lively rapids of a steep stream. Not a natural stream. The water was tumbling down a steep stairway carved into the face of the mesa. "Stop," Kendra called, pointing. "Look at that waterfall." The other three turned and stared at the mesa. "Waterfall?" Warren asked. "Not a true waterfall," Kendra amended. "Water racing down a stairway." "You see stairs?" Neil asked. Kendra pointed from the base of the mesa to the top. "Looks like they run all the way up. They're so obvious now. I can't believe they were hidden before. You'll want to wait until they dry off. It would be a tough climb with all that water." "The flooded stairs," Mara said with wonder in her voice. "I still don't see anything," Warren said. "Neither do we," Neil replied. "Take us to the foot of the stairs," he said. The others followed Kendra as she led them back to the base of the mesa. Reaching the stairs did not take long. Just beyond the end of the stairs, the water slurped into a dark fissure in the ground. Kendra edged up to the crevice and peered down. There was no end in sight. She could hear water churning in the distant depths. "I'm surprised we didn't fall in the hole when we were circling the mesa earlier," Kendra said, turning to the others. "I don't see a hole," Warren said. "Can you lead me onto the stairs?" Neil asked. Taking his hand, Kendra led him around the opening in the ground and along a rocky shelf until they stood together at the bottom step. Cold water gushed around her shins. "Do you see it now?" Kendra asked. "Lead me up a few steps," Neil said. Treading carefully, for though the water was not deep, it was coming fast, Kendra placed her foot on the first slick stone step. With Neil in tow, she climbed 4 stairs before she slipped, plunging a hand and both knees into the frigid stream before Neil hoisted her up. "Enough," Neil said. They carefully returned to the shelf, then walked around the crevice to rejoin Warren and Mara. "I didn't see the stairway until you started climbing," Warren said, "and then it only seemed to go about 5 steps beyond the point you reached. I had to focus hard to keep my eyes on you." "I saw 15 steps ahead of me before the stairs ceased," Neil said. "It keeps going and going," Kendra verified, turning here and there, reaching landings or ledges in some places. "The stairs lead all the way to the top. Will the storm be over by morning?" "When the rain ends, the stairs will be gone," Mara said. "That is why, even with your gifted sight, you did not perceive the stairs or the fissure earlier. None have found the flooded stairs in centuries. Many assumed the pathway existed only in lore." "You have to climb the stairs in the rain?" Kendra asked. "That is going to be tough." "This could be our only opportunity," Neil said to Warren. Warren nodded. "We should get the others." "We'll need Kendra to guide us," Neil said. "I felt the strength of the spell. It took all I had to follow her lead. Without her, we have no chance." Warren frowned, water trickling down his face from his damp hair. "We'll have to find another way." Neil shook his head. "This was a long shot, a miracle. Don't count on finding another way, not for years. Maybe we should leave whatever is up there alone. It is well guarded." "I'll lead you up if you need me," Kendra said. "I'll need somebody near me who can keep the water from sweeping me away." "No, Kendra," Warren said. "There is no imminent danger compelling us. You don't need to do this." "If we don't recover what we came for, someone else might," Kendra said. "I don't have to go into the vault, just up the mesa." "She could wait outside with me," Neil offered. "There can be strange activity on the mesa during a storm," Mara warned. The wind wailed, underscoring her words. "We'll take refuge in the old weather room," Neil said. "I passed the time quietly there on the last trip." Kendra looked at Warren. He did not look fully unwilling. She suspected he wanted her to do it, but not because he pushed her. "This is important," Kendra insisted. "Why am I here if not to help where I can? Let's do it." Warren turned to Neil. "You met no trouble on top of the mesa last time?" "No real danger," Neil said. "That may have partially been luck. The mesa is certainly not always safe." "Do you think you can protect Kendra?" Warren asked. I expect so, Neil answered. Well, will this rain last a while? Warren asked Mara. Off and on for a few hours at least, she said. They started back toward the jeep. We could round up the others and be ready to return within half an hour, Warren said. Do you have climbing equipment? Ropes? Harnesses? Carabiners? For 6 of us? Neil asked. Maybe. I'll gather all we have. They fell silent. That was it. The decision had been made. They were going to give it a try. As Kendra followed the others, picking her way over and around wet rocks, she tried not to picture herself frozen with fear high on a watery stairway, a magnificent desert vista overwhelming her with paralyzing vertigo. In spite of Warren's faith in her, she wished she could retract her offer. And that's the end of the chapter. We are on chapter 10 for tomorrow. Okay, everybody, have a great day. Enjoy the weather. Cozy up with a good book or a nice, funny TV show or your family or a pet or something like that. And I will see you guys next time. Have a great day. Bye.